You spend a lot of time in Ottawa.
I do.
What do you do for fun? I'm talking no politician stuff. What do you do if you have an hour to yourself, no kids? What do you do?
I really love coffee. And
Yeah.
so there's a nice little coffee shop that I sometimes go to just to treat myself, and it's called Little Victories. The single best marshmallow squares that I've ever had in my entire life with brown butter. So I do that once in a while. But I have an hour to myself, I go for a walk. And normally I go for a walk in and around Parliament Hill, looking at some of the buildings and watching the different monuments. I have a track that I take and I stop at all the different monuments. I am in a place and doing things that weren't possible for women to do 100 years ago.
How's it juggling your kids? And you're so good at this. I was always impressed with it, fascinated by it.
Best husband in the world.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
And how do you just take your kid to an event and put him on your arm? How do you handle that?
Well, they've been doing it since they were babies.
So they're just used to it.
They've gotten pretty good at it. My 3-year-old is so cute. If we're at an event and there's a microphone, he'll ask if he can have the mic. Hi, everybody. My name's Owen. Thanks for all you do here. Have a good night. So he's definitely picking up some of his mom's habits and knows how to work a crowd.
Yeah.
But you know what? We have a great community and many hands make for light work. So when I bring my children to events, it brings a lot of joy and a lot of people will help. And when they see that I've got perhaps my hands a little bit more full than I should, I often have community members that come and help spread the load and play with my children, and my kids love going to these events.
What are some of the difficult things that you face in your role? Has there been scary moments in the role at all?
Probably the most challenging is the travel, because I am doing a 3,600 kilometer trip twice a week.
Yes, yeah.
When Parliament's in session.
Yeah.
And so I go from Fort McMurray to Calgary, Calgary to Vancouver, Vancouver to Ottawa every Sunday, and that's a red-eye flight.
Yeah.
So I'm getting in early Monday morning and then having to operate on a few hours sleep. And so that's always a little bit more complicated. But I do that so that I get more time with my kids, so that I can take my son to dance, because that's special. So the scariest parts are when travel doesn't quite work to plan. It's always a little bit stressful.
In your role, you're an ambassador for the region. And I'm noticing a shift a little bit from some of the politicians. One thing I think that is a little different now, I'm noticing it, is you're really showcasing the Fort McMurray as a family community. Lac La Biche is special. They've got all these great things.
So it's Cold Lake, and you know what? So it's the MD of Bonnyville. We have so many special things in our riding. And I love showcasing the fact that we have Winifred Lake, which is one of the coolest trophy fishing places in the entire province of Alberta, probably in all of Western Canada. That's in our riding.
Yeah.
We have just amazing people that call this place home. And so I like showcasing the communities and the part of the country that I grew up in.
Is yours the largest region, or?
One of the larger ridings.
Yeah. How do you maintain that? How many offices do you have?
I have one in the riding, because the one positive of the pandemic is a lot of people got more comfortable doing things virtual. Right. So we service the entire region from our office in Fort McMurray and an office in Ottawa. And we find ways of adapting to the small segment of people that would prefer in person. So sometimes I'll go to the city office or I'll go in person.
So what is the exact riding that you have?
It's 142,000 square kilometers. Okay. It goes from the Northwest Territories border to Saskatchewan border, down as far south as the Cold Lake First Nation, through all of Lac La Biche County, most of the MD of Bonnyville, all of the city of Cold Lake, and most of the MD of Opportunity, as well as all of the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo and ID.
Is there different nuances in different areas?
Oh yeah, it's so cool. I describe my riding as oil and airplanes. Because Cold Lake's got the 4-wing base, which is spectacular. I've learned so much from the amazing pilots and airmen, and it's going to be home to more than half of the F-35s that are coming to Canada are going to be at Cold Lake. And so this is a huge place of opportunity and change and shuffle. And so I have been able to learn so much from 4-wing and some of what they're doing and some of the innovation they've managed to find. And I love that. Oil and gas, all the way through from Cold Lake, Lac La Biche County, all the way up through the Fort McMurray region. So that is something that is fairly common to all of us, which is part of it. And we have have so many rich Indigenous communities, heritage, differences, and yet similarities, and a lot of agriculture in through the MD of Bonnyville as well as Lac-La-Biche County.
Say you're in government, okay? What is a fun passion project in a sense that you'd like to take on? And then what is a project close to your heart that needs change now?
Well, how about there is a project that I've been working on with the current government is to try and get a new school on the Cold Lake base.
Why do they need a new school?
Because the school is like super old, and part of the school had a bunch of asbestos, and it's like kind of falling apart, and there's a boiler underneath the side of the school that's kind of decrepit, and then the side of the school that's not is like quite old, and it's at end of life. And students, when their parents serve overseas or serve elsewhere, they need some different kinds of supports. Trying to explain to the Minister of National Defence and the entire team why it is so important, especially in these uncertain times as we're having more and more instability in the international world. Having a new school put on the Cold Lake base will serve the families and allow the people that are going overseas to serve our country know that their kids are taken care of. So that's something that I've been working on, and I'm going to continue working on because I think it's really important.
So that would be more of a passion, positive project. Give me a large change that you want to see.
Fiscal accountability.
And the carbon tax?
Oh, well, of course, get rid of the carbon tax. That is a no-brainer, but that falls into fiscal responsibility and accountability. Like, I want to see government actually understand that this is all taxpayer money and that we need to be far more responsible with how it is spent. And I think every single government at every single level of government needs to be doing more to make sure that their money is being spent wisely.
Thank you.